Joining me now from Los Angeles is Eugene Ramirez. He's a founding partner of a law firm there, also a former police officer and a prosecutor. Eugene, I did want to start initially with what happened in Oklahoma, but we're getting word at least 5 people were injured in a shooting at a funeral in Racine, Wisconsin. Is there any place that's safe anymore? Concert halls, hospitals, doctor's offices, schools, now a funeral.
It would appear that there isn't a safe location, but in reality, it's unfortunate this is happening. I wonder if these are copycat type situations. But I know our law enforcement is doing everything they can, and this raises another issue. Should we be defunding or discussing defunding law enforcement when actually we should be funding them so they can respond more quickly? I think we have just mentioned the response time of the police in the Tulsa shooting was only 9 minutes from reports of gunfire to the officers encountering the suspects and the victim. That is unbelievable, and it shows what officers will do when properly trained. And compare that to the Uvalde situation where, unfortunately, officers waited well over an hour before they made entry.
But here's the interesting thing, Eugene. I believe the Uvalde police officers just did have a very special drill or training, if you will, just recently, and still their response was absolutely disastrous.
The officers, all officers around this country are undergoing a lot of active shooter training. I don't think it was the individual officers. I think it was members of the command staff that refused to let them go in for whatever reason, and hopefully the investigation will reveal what that reason was. But we've heard numerous interviews of officers who wanted to go in. And once the Border Patrol's BORTAC team, which is a very well-trained tactical team, once they arrived and took control of the situation, they were able to resolve the situation. I only wish they had been there earlier and the other officers were allowed to act much more quickly than they did.
Well, it took 77 minutes for 19 officers hanging around in the hall room to finally be given permission to go in and storm the door of that classroom. Why time after time, we have seen here that AR-15s are used in these in these massacres, if you will. Who should have an AR-15? Why does a civilian need to have a weapon that basically kills?
Well, all weapons could be considered deadly weapons.
But come on, AR-15 is in a category of its own.
An AR-15 is actually a sporting rifle. It's very easy to use, which is why people like to use it. I think we do need probably some different laws in place, plus enforcing those that we have. For example, the gunman in Tulsa was able to acquire his AR-15 rifle just a few hours before he entered that medical facility. He also was able to purchase that handgun on the Sunday before. I think if we had had maybe a 10-day waiting period like we do in other states, maybe that would have prevented it or caused them to rethink the situation. So I think we need some reasonable background checks. We need some time periods before people are allowed to pick up their weapons. And we have some great laws on the book. They just need to be enforced.
And also this gunman clearly had a motive. You know, this was revenge against the doctor who was treating him following a surgery. Does this matter in this investigation? Does that change how authorities investigate it? Because it wasn't random. It was the guy had a purpose.
He did. He legally purchased these weapons, but used them illegally. And it's still going to be an investigation of why he killed not just his doctor, but another doctor, a receptionist, and another patient who was waiting to be seen. That is just inexcusable.
All right, we'll leave it there. Eugene Ramirez, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.